Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. I'm glad that you've joined me today. Thank you for all of my new subscribers and I appreciate you guys very much, and for all of those that have just tuned in to be a viewer. You can follow me on Instagram at moon.child714. Okay, let's talk about Megan, and when she's always talking about I need to thrive, not just survive. And I thought, where does this come from? And I thought about it because one of my viewers sent me a message and said, check out 12 Years a Slave. I believe she may have picked it up from there, but I found it quite a few places. So she didn't just invent it, it's been around and quite a few people have used it. It's not enough to survive. I think I need to thrive. And that's not her quote, but we'll get into that. Full disclaimer can be found down below. All content is found on a public domain, and I'm using these under the fair use, fair dealing guidelines. Full disclaimer in my description. All right, let's get into it then. Let's go back and let's start off with the video from 12 Years a Slave. And you guys tell me what you think.
Thought you know something. I did as instructed. There's something wrong. It's wrong with the instruction.
Master brought you here to work. Any more will earn you 100 lashes. I know what it's like to be the object of Master's lash. In his own time, good Lord will manage them all.
I will survive. I will not fall into despair.
Okay, there we go. So let's go over to the next thing. You guys tell me if you think that could have been where Megan found it from. And thank you to my viewer who sent me that message. During an interview for ITV News' upcoming documentary, Megan, Duchess of Sussex, opened up about the difficulties of living in the royal spotlight. You'll remember in that Brad B interview, she says, it's not enough to just survive something. You've got to thrive. That's the point of life, right? Prince Harry's heart, and I'll give you a few more examples in a moment. Prince Harry's heartbreak, this is from the Express, real reason why Harry won't thrive in USA with Meghan, because he's a lost soul. Let's just skip down so I don't repeat so much. It just says, okay, they packed their bags. They said goodbye to life as a senior member of the royal family in the spring, and they have since relocated to Los Angeles in the USA. But an expert has now claimed Harry will find living in the City of Angels hard. And for those of you living outside of the USA, they call Los Angeles the City of Angels. They officially stepped down as senior royals March 31st after completing their final engagements. I'm going to skip down. They moved back to Meghan's hometown of Los Angeles in the U.S., where their one-year-old son, with their one-year-old son, Archie Harrison. And, of course, we know he celebrated his recent second birthday. Their last official appearance as working members of the monarchy were in the Commonwealth Day service at Westminster on March 9th. And let's see, what has been dubbed Mexit. And I learned from one of the other YouTubers that Mexit was originally invented by someone on Twitter. And I'm sorry, I don't know their name to give them credit. And I think they couldn't locate it either, but because Brexit was going on. Wish I could give her full credit. We'll see a couple gain financial independence, although there will be a review of arrangements after 12 months. That's the part that really bothers me. Their use of the word royal in the Sussex Royal brand we know was turned down by the Queen, and the couple is expected to launch their new independent charity, Archewell, named after the son Archie at some point. Okay, these are all things we know. Queen herself and the royal family are entirely supportive of Meghan and Harry's desire to create a new life with a young family. And we remember what her statement says. She kept repeating, family and calling them by their first names because she wanted to make it very personal and let them know that they were still very loved members of the family. It's said, and I'm skipping down to the bottom, Mr. Quinn spoke on Channel 5's new documentary, Harry and Meghan, Two Troubled Years. He said it will be far worse for Harry in America than Meghan in England because he's not as tough as she is. Okay, let's see. And she also said that when he did leave, he clearly wasn't ready or willing or able to completely sever those ties. It just came down to the Queen saying that you can't have one foot in, one foot out. And I completely agree. Even if they didn't want to be funded by the people of the UK, which we know that they're still being funded by them, and that's just a terrible thing. I don't know why, if it's the Queen's age or what, why she has let them get away with as much as she has. But I think that it's really looked bad on the monarchy, and they've done so much damage, and I don't know why she's being so easy on them. Okay, which is why he continued not just with the honorary titles, but he wanted to really continue to support injured servicemen, both with the walking charity and the Invictus Games. That really brought them in a lot of happiness, and I think that's why he's going to miss the most now, and that he's not in the UK. All right, let's go to, and this is just where Meghan had talked to Tom Bradby. Here's some other places that I found kind of her quote or her buzzwords, word salad, whatever you want to call it. It's from the wonderful Dr. Martin Luther King. It said, and I'm just going to go into the second paragraph. In our times, a liberative spirituality is distinguished by the demand it makes to the right not to be poor. Today, we have the unprecedented capacity to provide every human being with enough to not only survive, but to thrive. So he's talking about giving back to those that are living in poverty, those that are unable to help themselves out of that, and just being able to support them and helping them in their struggles. He was a wonderful man. Then you can just search thrive and survive, and here's all the gifts and that will come up for you. I want to live, not just survive. Life is too short to survive. Live life, not just survive. You are meant to thrive, not just survive. So it wasn't anything like she had invented it. Also, if you know the motivational speaker, and he does a lot on tapes, and very wealthy man, Tony Robbins. Thrive, don't just survive. When you're facing challenging times, how do you overcome and get back being the creator of your life? What does it take to start striving? While it may feel like nothing can come of your circumstance, the truth is the difficult times have within them the seed of possibility. Even the toughest seasons can transform everything and take your life to the next level. But anyway, so he talks about in this whole video overcoming, and that you don't want to just survive, that you want to thrive, and you want to get the most out of your life. So definitely it wasn't invented by Meghan. And it says below, follow these strategies below and you will find yourself thriving. And then just a few more things that I found online and articles written. Just survive. 7 ways to thrive, not just survive. So she could have been looking up to, I'm not happy, I'm depressed, I feel like I'm not meeting my goals, and life's not happy for me, and any number of these things come up. Also, other articles, how to thrive, not just survive. Don't just survive life. You got to thrive in it. So I'm sure she picked this up as her buzzwords to use there. It was well planned out. She didn't just at the spur of the moment talk to him, because he even said when he was interviewing her, Tom Bradby, that it seemed as though that, something had been weighing heavily on her mind, that they weren't quite themselves. And that she had just told him off camera she wanted to talk to him, and they started filming, and that's how he got the interview with her. And after she did, it was too late to turn back, because then he also interviewed Harry. So more things. And also when you type in Google surviving, not thriving, and then I thought, let's see where Oprah comes up in all this. Well, lo and behold, she does different shows on it, and it's one of the big things that she talks about. And also the beautiful Maya Angelou, who writes the beautiful poems. And then she says in her quote, my mission in life is not merely to survive, but to thrive. So you can see it comes from everywhere. And who again is linked into all of that? Well, look, there's Oprah and Harry. And that goes back to the Apple TV interview, that she's going to do a project with Harry, but she's going to talk about Harry, Prince Harry, who actually suffers with depression and all these things. Look, people, he's my friend, and he's survived it. Look what he's went through. Let's take the stigma away from it, because even a prince can be going through difficult times. This talks about them teaming up for the mental health documentary series, and how and it's not out yet, and they've worked on it when he was still a working member, just like Megan did with the Disney documentary. They were already lining this up. They knew all along that they were going back, or at least Megan did. Remember when Oprah announced that she was working on some very special projects with Apple? Well, it turns out that the O of O has been busy working on something very special indeed with none other than Prince Harry. And see, she likes the publicity that she gets out of this too. And then she goes on to say this morning, the palace announced that the Duke of Sussex and Oprah are partnering as co-creators and executive producers of a mental health documentary series that will launch on new Apple TV Plus series in 2020. Let's get down and just says that, the dynamic, guess I'll read this one. Multi-part series will focus on both mental illness and mental wellness, inspiring viewers to have an honest conversation about the challenges each of us faces and equip ourselves with the tools to not simply survive, but thrive. There it comes in again. Read a statement on the Duke's joint Instagram account with his wife, Meghan Markle. Oprah responded on Instagram, "I'm delighted to be partnering with you. Hope we shed a lot of light and change some lives." Do you think that by him working prior to going to Africa with Oprah on the mental health series, that he came up with it, or somewhere along it came up with it, and then that was like code word for Megan to bring it back and connect those dots to what he would be working on without announcing it? Oh, goodness. His Royal Highness has spent many years working with communities throughout the UK and young people across the Commonwealth to break the stigma surrounding mental illness and broaden the conversation of mental wellness to accelerate change for a more compassionate, connected, and positive society. Quote from His Royal Highness, "I truly believe that good mental health, mental fitness is the key to powerful leadership, productive communities, and a purpose-driven self. It's a huge responsibility to get this right as we bring you the facts, the science, and the awareness of a subject that is so relevant during these times. Our hope is that this series will be positive, enlightening, and inclusive, sharing global stories of unparalleled human spirit and fighting back." Okay, I think about several things, and I want to say that I think that it's wonderful anytime somebody brings to light and tries to overcome the stigma of mental illness. A lot of people's lives are controlled with the mental illness that they live with. I thank all the people and therapists that are out there that help people get over this. And even when some need to take medication, I believe if that's what they need with behavioral therapy or with personal therapy, whatever works for a person, I think that's wonderful. But I just don't see Harry as being the face of mental health, at least not advising people, at least not going out and telling them what they need to do to empower themselves and to be leaders, because every time we turn around, there's an article talking about how he's struggling with his own mental health. I feel like he should work on his own mental health, make himself healthy, and those few sessions that he had, or years of sessions, whichever it was, prior to Megan, I think he definitely needs to go back into therapy, because he seems to be the one that is definitely just surviving and not thriving at the moment. It's not all about making money. It's not all about building the brand, but especially when you have the person that's spearheading this and is the face of mental health, he needs to definitely look like he's mentally well himself, and I don't believe that Harry does. Mental health has also been a central topic for Oprah during her 25 years on the Oprah Winfrey Show, as well as in this very magazine. At the Apple News Conference earlier this month, she mentioned that one of her upcoming documentary series, presumably this project with Prince Harry, will focus on mental health, depression, anxiety, post-traumatic stress disorder, trauma, and loss. And while I do believe Harry, in his own way, is trying to do a good thing by this, and I think that from being in the military, he saw a lot of people, including himself, suffer from PTSD and a lot of other depression and other mental illness, and he knows how important it is for them to be mentally and physically well to be able to go on and live a happy life. So while I believe that he's doing it for a good reason, I think that he's being used by Oprah and Meghan to be the face of it, because that's, everybody's going to tune in to a prince that talks about his struggles with this, or basically anything that Harry talks about. Okay, and it just goes on to saying that, the palace had put it on social media. Throughout the years, Harry, he's worked with military veterans, including those through his annual Invictus Games, where wounded, injured, or sick armed services personnel participate in the Olympic-style sporting event. He also worked with communities in the UK and around the world to broaden the conversation of mental wellness, to accelerate change for a more compassionate, connected, and positive society. Oprah, meanwhile, later told us that she is very excited about the project and working with Prince Harry, or as she calls him, her partner. I'm sorry, I wouldn't refer to Prince Harry as his partner. That just, it's wrong. That's all I'm going to say. Okay, Prince William has recently also been working up with organizations and trying to help people through the difficult time. And I'm kind of surprised. I wonder if these are his words, but Newsweek says Prince William says British stiff upper lip is damaging to psychological well-being in his new documentary. I hadn't heard anything about it, but it says Prince William is speaking out against stiff upper lip in Britain in an upcoming documentary on mental health and soccer. The Duke of Cambridge will say, locking up your emotions is psychologically damaging in a clear break with the royal family and the British aristocracy. Image dating back, image dating back decades. BBC royal correspondent Nicholas Witchell gave an insight into what the 37-year-old royal will say in the BBC documentary, Football, Prince William, and Our Mental Health, during an interview with Radio Times. But he just goes on to say that, Prince William really wants to help children, and he's using this like soccer as a way of getting the kids and men, adults, to open up about their feelings and things that they may be struggling with, and just a way of getting the conversation going, which I commend him for this. And that's part of one of his charities that he works with, the Heads Together. And so they've put out a tweet there talking about the new documentary that will be coming up, and it's part of the Heads Up campaign. Also, BBC One says that it's going to air on Thursday, the 28th of May. And there's a couple of other Twitter handles that you'll be able to find it at. But I think that's a wonderful thing, and I hope it'll be put online so that all of us will be able to read it. Now, William is talking about when Harry opened up. His first intervention came in 2017 after brother Prince Harry opened up about suffering 20 years of anguish over the death of his mother, Princess Diana. The Duke of Sussex admitted getting counseling to help deal with the trauma and said in the years after 1997 and the Paris car crash, he felt like he wanted to punch someone. He had built up rage and, I guess, frustration. Immediately after the interview was published, Prince William told Charity Calm, "There may be a time and a place for this step upper lip, but not at the expense of your health." I feel like that when Meghan came along, Harry was at a very vulnerable period at his time after going through counseling and was trying to get himself well and become whole again. I feel like when she came along that she gaslighted a lot of issues that made his rage and that he was having trouble dealing with, that she just gaslighted it and made it worse, especially where she was blaming the media for different things. And I feel like any accomplishments he had in his therapy were probably regressed because of this. William goes on to say that his sister-in-law, Meghan Markle, said she tried to adopt the old-fashioned English tradition and that and the royal family, but found it to be too much. And then I was just talking about her interview with Tom Bradley. Now, this past year has been dominated by Prince William and Prince Harry's endless royal drama. Literally, it's exhausting, but apparently Williams had tension with other members of the royal family, according to the Express. William got into a whole thing with his uncle Prince Edward when Edward's television production, we remember that whenever he was in school, and he had protection and his privacy was respected. And then Prince Edward, the Queen's son, had a production company, and he was trying to get into show business and production. And he pulled up at the school, and Prince Charles went ballistic on him, and because he thought he would talk about William and get an interview with him when nobody even knew that he was going up there. But anyway, let's go on. So after that, I'm going to start at the very bottom paragraph because I know where this is going. A spokeswoman for Prince Charles went so far as to say that, I remember where he went ballistic, but it says also from the Queen that Edward be made to choose once and for all between his public duties and his television production company. And we all know how that went. He and Sophie both left their jobs. The production company was closed down. And then Sophie had her PR firm, but she left to come work for the family as a working royal, and she's done a tremendous job. It would be nice if Edward worked as much as Sophie did, because I know the Queen respects what she's done. She works hard and she keeps her head down. A spokeswoman for Prince Charles went so far as to say that the prince was disappointed, very much so, while officials said that he was enraged. Jobson even says that he learned that Prince Charles tore into his brother in a telephone conversations. In other words, he told him to get out of there. I'm going to keep promoting Lady Colin Campbell, who is writing the book, Harry and Meghan, The True Story, that will be out in June. You can get it if you're in the UK at Amazon.com UK. For anybody outside of there, we're going to have to wait until they can figure it out and get Amazon to carry it. They're working out the details with other publishers who are willing to take it on. I'm sure there's all sort of things they have to look at from a legal standpoint, point of liability of, publishing it here. But anyway, she talks in that chatting with her. I've watched every one of her videos, but she talks about Diana and writing the books on her. And she said, I'm not going to call either Diana or Meghan a narcissist, but I do think that some of the things that they have done are the traits of a narcissist, but she doesn't call them that. And she said that Princess Diana just made some huge mistakes in trusting and manipulating the media to get her side of the story out there when she should have just kept quiet and kept on working. And that as far as Meghan goes, Meghan's team, or Omid Scobie's team, again, I'm going to say this, allegedly have reached out to her trying to ask what would be in the book and change some of the things that she might be publishing in the book, but we'll be able to read about that. She's not going to give any of the hints or clues away about it now, but she said she was appalled that they contacted her and that wanted to know what would be in it or if certain things were going to be in it. But she talks about Meghan, and she said, I believe that Meghan had a need for the limelight. She wanted to be a star. She wasn't able to do it in her acting career, and she thought this would give her a global spotlight. And basically, she and Harry were just two different people, and she thought that this was going to give her a platform where she could go out and speak about the things that she wanted to. She talks about that she never learned the difference of the entertainment as far as acting and the difference in the royal family. And we've heard the courtiers say that anytime they tried to advise Meghan, allegedly, that she wouldn't take their advice. So there were many people trying to help her. And even with like her PR firm today, the problem is Meghan, if she doesn't like the advice that's given, then she's not going to take it. And that seems to be her biggest downfall. B-list Meghan Markle, according to the Mirror, was ill-prepared to be the world's most famous woman. Experts say. Royal expert, and I'm not crazy about Katie McNichol. She's written books on Meghan, so when she does write something in one of the papers that she works for or magazines, she's going to have a glowing view of her. She doesn't get to the heart of the story, and it's all positive stuff about her. But she says Meghan Markle's time in the spotlight as the star of TV show Suits, and she wasn't the star of it, didn't fully prepare her for life as Prince Harry's wife. Oh, but anyway, so I'm not going to read her article. If you want to read it, you can see where it's at and just go right online. But I recently discovered HRH, Princess Juniper of Mars. And she posted this, and it looks as though that somebody had hacked Kensington Palace. But I believe it's called the Duke and Duchess of Cambridge now. So maybe they hacked the account they were using. And it said, this is a public announcement. The Duke and Duchess of Sussex used the services of a surrogate. We apologize for any misunderstanding. Oh my God, I think that's so funny, but I guess they've resolved it and, and it's no longer there. But we recently know that Kensington Palace have changed it, the name, and made it more personal. And so it's now called the Duke and Duchess of Cambridge. And that way it's, it's after two people instead of just the name of where they live, the home. All right, so let's keep going. And oh, here's something I wanted you to see. This is about the Thomas Markle documentary that's being made. So let me just let you tune in on this. Give me a second. All right.
I wouldn't say either of them come out of it particularly seeming that likable, which sounds horrible because obviously we don't know too much about Meghan, but from what we saw of her in old videos from when she was a child, and then the way that her father described her, and then things he said, that he admitted, he'd lied a lot of the time, even to Meghan and Harry, about things that had happened. So you don't really like him either. So you just come away going, this is just a very sad situation.
But I think we should point out this documentary was filmed in October before Harry and Meghan announced that they were leaving royal life.
That is true. There is a little section, though, right at the end of the documentary, which I'm sure you can find online, where he does actually comment on them stepping back as senior royals. So they must have filmed that very recently and just tacked it on the end. And he said he's very disappointed, that maybe this 16-bedroom house and all of the money's just not good enough for them. And he doesn't understand why, when she's got the princess dream that every little girl wants, and she's walking away from it. But I think he thinks it's because of money. I think he thinks that they imagine they're going to move to Canada and make a fortune.
But we should also remember, we said estranged father because they don't have a relationship and they haven't had one for quite some time.
Yeah.
So you have to remember that he's speaking about his daughter, whom he probably doesn't really know who she is now, who she's become as a young woman.
He actually says that. He actually says, I know Meghan of old. I don't know who she is anymore. But he was still talking to her, right up until the wedding. And it was only just before the wedding at Windsor that they kind of parted ways, because he did the paparazzi shots, of course, you may remember, where he was apparently being measured for a suit, which actually was in a costume store, all set up. He was browsing the internet, looking at the royal family online, all set up, because, of course, we saw the CCTV footage of that. And that's finally when they parted ways. And I don't think it was even that he'd set the shots up. It was because he lied to them when they asked him, and he admitted that. He said, they asked me outright, did I set this up? And I said no, and I lied, and he admitted that.
As a dad, can I just say, my heart actually broke for Thomas Markle. The fact that he didn't get to walk his own daughter down the aisle, because I have two daughters, and you better believe nobody else is walking them down the aisle, but me, as long as I'm on God's green earth, right? But it's so hard to know what to believe about what's said and what's not said. I mean,
he said he cried when Charles walked Meghan, halfway down the aisle. Again, you don't know whether that's true. He's lied so much now that even when he says things like that and you want to side with him and you want to feel sorry for him, he said he found out she was pregnant on the radio. He said, this is my own daughter. In his apartment in Mexico, he's got, tea bags in a tin with their face on, like the souvenirs from the wedding, And you think, this is not right somehow. It seems odd.
Well, every family has drama, and we don't really know what's going on, right? We got to...
Okay, and I'll just stop it right there. Now, I want to say, in my opinion, there's been a few times I felt sorry for Thomas Markle, just in the way that he came across in the interviews, but I felt like he was straight up someone that was trying to make a buck any way that he could. Yes, I think that his daughter did not do right by him, but I think by not reaching out to him, she made this worse. It kind of gives me some insight, and I have not watched the video yet. I've been trying to watch it, but it keeps being sent out to all of these places, like in Canada and over in South America and somewhere else. So I haven't found a secure line to watch it, and it wants you to register. I think if you're in the UK, you can do it. You need a VPN, a secure link. So even though I've downloaded some of those, when I registered just to watch it, even though it says it doesn't charge you, and I'm happy to pay for it, it's not on a secure site to put that information in. So when I find a secure site, I'll watch it. I don't think it's going to reveal too much more, but I don't think that Thomas Markle is a good man. We know that it was allegedly that said that he had rigged and won the $1 million lottery, in which I guess he got $775,000, and that's how he sent Meghan to private middle school, high school, and then on to pay for her college. But she said something different when she was in South Africa talking about education, that her father, that she had to have scholarship, which of course she can get scholarship. That doesn't pay for everything though. And that she had worked her way through work study, which I'm not sure I believe that. But anyway, that was what came from it. But the documentary is out there. I guess it was filmed last October, and it's been streaming or available since, I believe, February of this year. But if I do watch it, I'll let you guys know and I'll report on it. Okay. Anyway, let's get back to it. Harry and Meghan talk of finding freedom by cooperating with authors of a tell-all biography. A lot of people about there have said, well, she didn't cooperate, and she even told the palace that she didn't. But I'm telling you, I'm finding it over and over again where it's been published. It's not me saying it, it's where I'm finding it in print, that they did cooperate with them. So I just want to show you a few of those. So in the bottom it says, a new book reportedly had the cooperation of Harry and Meghan, the Duke and Duchess of Sussex, and will be out in August. Let's go to the next page. The Newport reportedly had the cooperation of Harry and Meghan. So it's been said, and it says will be out in August. The publishers have revealed. So it even goes on to say, and let me see where I need to start on this. I'm not going to read the top paragraph. It just talks about, for the first time, you're going to hear from their point of view. But I don't believe Meghan Markle any more than I believe Thomas Markle. I believe that they are two people that think that they have a right to say what they want, and that they believe that it's the truth, and that they don't have a problem with saying something knowing that it's not true. He's lied over and over again. She's lied over and over again. Maybe she gets this a little bit from him. With unique access and written with the participation of those closest to the couple. Now they're saying those closest to the couple. Finding Freedom is an honest, up close, and disarming portrait of a confident, influential, and forward-thinking couple who are unafraid to break with tradition, determined to create a new path away from the spotlight, and dedicated to building a humanitarian legacy that they will make a profound difference in the world. The Sussex, now listen close, reportedly gave an interview to the book's author before moving from the UK. Representatives of the Sussex are denying that they spoke with the authors or sat for any interviews. She was inviting Omid Scobie and then later on Carolyn Durand, when they were, earlier this year, to come to these events. She, was linked to him at Soho House, that she met him through Marcus Anderson, and she was the one that was telling him what she wanted out to the media and allowing him to link it. So that's how he knew all of this stuff. He was the one who also said that she knew all along, and that she'd told him that she wanted the letter she was writing to her father and certain things that she was putting in it to be printed, and that's why she wrote it in that manner. He said that Meghan herself had told him that, and then that's the book that's coming out in August. And I'm not sure if I'm going to read it, because I don't think I want to buy it, but I might download it. But I know what's going to be in it. We all do. And I'm going to read Lady Colin Campbell's Harry and Meghan, The Real Story. I'm definitely going to read their book. This is just Thomas Markle with Meghan, and I do believe anybody that'd pay him, he would go on camera. And even when he did his documentary, it was sad. It gave the wrong year and date that she starred, or that she was on Suits. And also, when she married Trevor, she was like 3 or 4 years off on each one. So he just says things, not even caring if it's the real dates or not. So I believe he's a lot like Meghan. They just say things, and maybe she grew up watching him do this and picked up some of these traits. But this is when I believe it was the Canadian TV crew that was down there filming him for 6 weeks. And Mira says, Thomas Markle, no one gave me any attention at all. And this is in the video. But he does go on to say, because I saw a snippet of it, I mean help, that even though he says no attention at all. But what does that tell you? He's so much like Meghan. She seeks the attention. And if you're not giving it to her and telling her that she's doing a great job and listening to her and hearing everything she's got to say, then you're against her. She becomes very paranoid about it. During the Channel 5 documentary that was aired on Wednesday night, TV watchers dubbed the show's dubious after incorrect dates were shown on screen about the actress when she was married to her first husband, which I think it was her second. I think the first was annulled. And then Trevor Ingleson, and when she appeared in the American sitcom Suits. Okay, so, I mean, he was just way off, but he was just speaking and throwing out dates. He should have said, I don't remember the exact date of when she got married. That was so long ago, or when she was on there. But what... So it just makes him look less credible, which I don't know that he was ever credible at all. I felt sorry for him because I was seeing an elderly man that seemed to be heartbroken. But on the other hand, playing devil's advocate, I could see maybe why she didn't want to have anything to do with him. If she did call him, if she did go visit, he might be the same way as her and call PR team around to show that she was there or want to take pictures. I remember in one of his interviews, he said, just come and have a visit and let's take a photo session together so that I can show that you were here to visit me. But anyway, so one of the people went on to say that he admitted to lying about Harry in staged photos, that he'd also lied on TV in an interview. And he says, how can people trust what this man is saying? Another one said, how many times has Thomas Markle admitted to lying in this one documentary alone? But people are still thinking he is a credible source to the story. A third noted, it sounded like Thomas Markle is prone to lying. He lied to Harry about the paparazzi. He then seemed to lie about speaking to them on the phone, or other accounts say that it was text messages. Remember, he lied about, and this isn't on here, that they called him right before they went on the honeymoon, and he said the reason why he did this is he didn't want them to look bad in the press by seeming not to care, because he said they had not reached out to him. And then supposedly the court has these texts, so who knows? When the court hearing comes up, hopefully some of that will be revealed, or maybe if Meghan's diaries more get leaked, maybe we'll hear about that too. She's probably the one leaking them. It wouldn't surprise me, but that's just my opinion. And it says, you can't believe a word that comes out of his mouth. Very bottom. He would sell his soul for $1. And I do believe that. And some of the comments online, I don't know what she's calling him, absolute something. Money grabbing, trailer trash, kind of cut off. And, and then talking about Meghan and his spawn. The only one of them with any dignity is Doria. And then Greta Kahn says, really? It was recently disclosed he's the one advising on the plotting, because somebody else had written that allegedly that she was in on it with him, because Raynard is the one who took photos of him doing this down in Mexico, and Raynard is also the one that they do the paid pap shots, and that he was the one that taking pictures of Meghan either walking the dog or out in California. So it was all these same paid paparazzi. Okay, a source told the Mirror, Meghan and Harry know that they have to take threats seriously. Oh, this is just about them living where they are now and how there's coyotes. But what I wanted to show you in this part of it is the very bottom paragraph. And it says they are living in the luxury new home for free. And some people have claimed that they're paying, but it said which would normally cost a rent for 2,000 pounds a month to rent, but they are guests of the Hollywood producer and actor Tyler Perry. So they're squatting again, according to this. All right, I want to thank you for watching. I've got a few more videos that I'm getting ready to put out. Don't forget, if you haven't subscribed and set your notification and you just want to view, remember it's Moonchild 714, no space, and then one space and the word channel. Has to be typed in exactly that way. It's easier if you subscribe. You don't have to watch the videos if you choose not to, and you can always unsubscribe. I appreciate my followers and the people that have started to reach out to me and tell me different bits of information that they've learned or different articles that they had read and things that they would like for me to talk about. I love interacting with people, and I try to answer every single message, and I'm up to date on that now. So thank you very much. Please keep those comments coming. And again, thank you. I hope everyone is having a wonderful weekend and having some beautiful spring-like weather. Thank you, and I hope you'll join me for the next video.